As Kuwait navigates its most challenging fiscal start in history, the intersection of regional conflict and global energy security has become our daily reality. With primary export routes currently throttled and the global oil market facing its largest disruption on record, we must look to those who understand both the technical and the strategic levers of the industry. Joining us in the studio is a man who holds a pivotal seat at the global table of energy discourse, Dr. Talal Albathali, the Vice President of the World Petroleum Council and a distinguished faculty member at Kuwait University. Dr. Albathali, welcome, and it's a pleasure to have you here with us in the studio, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Let's begin with our first question. With Kuwait's oil exports essentially stranded during the blockade, what is the realistic buffer time of our storage and financial reserves, and how much we can take this impact?
Well, in terms of storage, Kuwait has a 30 million barrels storage capacity, but we produce 2.8 on a
daily basis.
So a simple arithmetic tells you that there's almost 13 to 15 days of complete fill up of these storages.
This is internal storage, not
internal.
Okay.
External, we only have 7 million barrels.
Okay.
4 of them is in South Korea and 3 of them in Japan. 3 million in Japan. But back to the question, Kuwait has filled up all of its storages 2 weeks ago. That's why Sheikh Nawaf Sabah, the CEO of KBC, has halted
all production.
Yes. Otherwise, where do you take it? Where do you put it? There is no space for it in Kuwait. But this is in terms of storage, and this is a technical issue, and we talked about it many times. I even fought my way through, and I kept asking those who are responsible, you guys, we need to build our strategic reserves outside of Kuwait. In Asia, possibly in Europe, wherever it may be feasible. And I was thinking at that time, 100 million barrels of storage capacity was required, because 100 million, my thinking was 100 million would basically give us a 3 months buffer to make good in our contracts with our customers in Europe and mainly in Asia. If we had those storages, 100 million barrels of storages, probably we will not feel the heat until maybe 90 days to
Correct.
Even more 60 days. Now that's in terms of storages. Now in terms of financially, you know, Kuwait budget has set 26-27 at 16.3 billion KD, of which 12.8 is oil revenues.
Yes.
That gives you a deficit of 9.8 billion before the crisis. Now the crisis makes us lose 1 billion a month. So you can count now.
We've lost 2 billion now.
Already now you have added 2 billion to your proclaimed deficit. Now you're talking about 11.3 deficit, and if this continues for longer,
it goes higher than our yearly income.
We are in a huge deficit. Maybe we could reach up to $20 billion, 20 billion KD in deficit if this problem continues until November or December. So that's really a major issue.
This 3-month buffer period, this would have been the strongest safety net we would have.
You know, and you know why? Let me tell you one thing, and this is something, it's a good question you asked. My thinking back then, and I remember exactly, that was 2016, by the way.
Oh, okay.
My thinking back then, I looked at the map. I teach petroleum economics, by the way, at the University of Kuwait.
So you're aware of the risks that are
right,
posed
and I
us.
write lots of papers on economic and technical risks of Kuwaiti oil reserves. So my thinking back then, I said, when I looked at the map, I said, wait a minute, Kuwait is completely trapped. Kuwait and Qatar, by the way, they are completely trapped. Saudi Arabia has
different routes, different access points.
They have access. Now they are happy, by the way. You know why? Because not only they are delivering their oil, they're delivering it at a higher price.
Yes.
Oman is safe. UAE through Fujairah port, they are safe. Of course, we, and this is my stand, and I'm not ashamed to say it, we should not go through the pipeline of Iraq through Turkey. That's a security issue to me.
It's too dangerous, and it's a volatile situation.
Right,
there
the country has not set yet.
Yes.
It has lots of militia, you know.
A lot of infighting. You can't guarantee safe passage through some regions.
Security might be a huge issue.
Yeah.
Now, since we're trapped, I asked myself a question: how do we solve a problem if we had a blockade at the Strait of Hormuz? Because you know the Strait of Hormuz has been an issue since the Iranian regime started back 50 years ago, right? So I said, well, we need a 3 months buffer zone, and that led me to believe that strategic reserves in Asia might solve the problem. And I submitted and I talked to the people who are responsible, but that fell on deaf ears.
Could you tell us what sort of pushback or resistance you got to this idea? Because it sounds like a reasonable security decision.
I think if I had to put it nicely, they followed the saying, if rain broke, don't fix it.
Okay.
That, you know, I don't want to say ignorance, I'm just saying back then, and I sympathize with them.
It's understandable.
Back then, everything was normal, nothing happening. And even if Iran had an issue with Europe or the States through the nuclear, you know, file, it used to be solved diplomatically. So
no one thought they would really close the strait.
Nobody thought of it. And by the way, I have a paper written in 2020, and it discusses the war premium should Hormuz been closed. And my predicted in that paper, and it's published, up to $200 if this problem persists another 2-3 months.
So, so that was our next question. How much longer until we reach the $200 mark? You're saying another 2-3 months from today?
Yes, I believe another 2-3 months from today, and there is a reason why. The consumers who are consuming oil, like China, South Asia mainly, and Europe, they are tapping into their reserves now. And not only that, they are relying now on non-Gulf oil.
Many people are saying
Mexico, Canada, Nigeria, you know, Angola. So they have a buffer to them. It's a buffer zone.
Yeah.
But guess what?
We don't have.
We don't have. No, we don't have it. But those consumers will be shocked in 2-3 months' time. You know why? Because their strategic reserves will run out, and those non-Gulf countries, they cannot deliver huge volumes.
And it's a different kind of oil. The
course,
quality and grade of it is.
Let alone the quality of the oil. Most of the Asian countries have built their refineries to work with our oil. So they have to do lots of adjustments.
This seems to be the similar problem they had with the Russia-Ukraine war. When they lost the pipeline from Russia to Germany and the rest of Europe, they were saying we cannot rely on other sources of power because our infrastructure is built for this source of energy. So now the Asian countries are suffering the same crisis.
They are, and that's why you've seen in the last 2 weeks, China has stepped in so forcefully to stop this nonsense. But you know, the Iranian regime is insisting on the blockade. So it's an issue that has been created from nothing by the Iranian regime. Now Donald Trump has blocked the Iranian port, so it's a double whammy now. So let's just hope that things might settle down within the next 2 weeks and things get open, because if it doesn't, our budget will feel it. And by the way, our budget needs to be revisited soon. Because whatever has been set in February, before February, is invalid now. The equation does not work now.
Correct.
The variables have changed. So we need to go back and revisit the budget and do some major constructions to it, major changes.
We'll return to this point about the budget, but let's stick on the notion of the reserves. A lot of countries have between 30 to 60 days on average of reserves. Other countries such as China and Japan stand out. They have much longer reserves. Do you believe, I assume this is a safe assumption, but all countries will now seek to expand their reserves? And perhaps Kuwait will adopt your idea of opening larger reserves outside of the strait in our Asian consumer countries.
I mean, I would think industrial countries have basically expanded their reserves, like Japan, Korea, China, India, and Europe. They have their strategic reserves. But maybe other countries, smaller countries, they might not build their own reserves. But here's the key thing, and this is what we should do now. Now in 2026, I'm saying it out loud. We have missed out into 2016. Now let's do it now. We should approach those countries, whoever imports our
sort of a
oil,
joint cooperation venture
of
between
course.
the two.
We can build the strategic reserves together and store our oil there. we have the capacity to produce large amounts of oil, but we are constrained by OPEC. But as long as you don't sell it, it's okay. You can produce as much as you can. You are constrained by the quota of selling.
Yes.
So we can start building our strategic reserves, and I suggest in Asia, because most of our customers are in Asia.
Now, I know we don't have a crystal ball to see the future.
Yeah.
We don't know how much they will
Yes.
expand these reserves. But in your opinion, if a collection of Asian countries were to begin expanding their reserves and we joined in this project, what do you think this will do to the price of oil in the short term and then in the long term?
No, look, strategic reserves don't affect the price. What affects the price is the sold barrel. Strategic reserves are built to basically buffer against shocks like this. So I think in my opinion, it does not affect the price. It sends a solidarity message that yes, we are taking strict measures now to prevent disruption of oil, and that's a good thing. Now, I think, in my opinion, Kuwait, I don't want to talk about other countries, since we are trapped, they should pursue investments in building strategic reserves in countries in Asia. This is good for the future, and this time span, they should look into 3 to 6 months of oil to be delivered to the customers in case things happen again. Sitting on oil reserves in Kuwait is not working anymore. We only have 30 million barrels of stocks in Kuwait, but that is nothing now because it cannot be delivered.
It might as well not be there.
Right. On top of that, on top of building the strategic reserves, I think we should look into diversifying our export routes.
Now, that was our next question. Would it be a better cost-benefit situation to have larger reserves or to build other routes to export?
Well, they work hand in hand. You see, I think, in my opinion, you need to build the export routes to deliver your commitment, because you are committed to countries, so you have to deliver the oil. So those routes should serve as a delivery station. On the other hand, the strategic reserves should serve also as a buffer just in case you are completely cut off, just like what happened today. So you need to think of it in terms of
contingencies.
Exactly, in terms of two routes. Well, what if we cannot deliver at all? Then you can use your strategic
reserves in other
What
countries.
if disruption happens to the Strait of Hormuz, but we can still deliver some? Then you go through the routes of, I think Saudi Arabia has the Yanbu route,
Yes,
or
the east-west pipeline that leads to Yanbu.
We can hook up to it and reap the benefits of a friendly country.
Now, another question we could ask is, what would be the ideal or the optimal route, alternative route, to export our oil? Would it go through the east-west pipeline in Saudi, or would it go somewhere to, let's say, Emirates or Oman?
Well, I mean, I know that there are two pipelines floating around, the east-west through Yanbu, Saudi Arabia, or north-south through Fujairah or Oman. This is left to the politicians, because this is normally there is a lot of politics into it.
There's a lot of factors to be considered for this.
I can't comment on that, but either way, you are still, like we say, you are working with friendly countries.
True.
You're safe.
It's one Gulf community.
Right,
here.
but never go north. Never go through the Iraqi-Turkey line, my opinion.
Well, we've seen the last, 20 to 30 years
Yes.
now, there isn't enough stability for any real economic development to take place there, in any sort, whether it's private or governmental.
And the country is lost in terms of security. Do you know that almost 1,000 pipelines, holes have been drilled through the pipeline, the Iraqi pipeline, and those gangsters, whatever they are, they hooked up their own lines and they are exporting the oil.
They're stealing some of the oil for themselves.
They are stealing, and you can't risk it.
Yeah,
you can't risk it.
Well, Doctor, you have a global view of things, and so how are major oil consumers reacting to this declaration of force majeure? Are they looking for permanent alternatives to the Gulf, or are they looking to get over this hurdle?
No, they're not looking for permanent solutions, like you said at the beginning, because their energy infrastructure, their refinery has been built to accommodate Gulf oil. So they are looking for a temp solution. I think they are doing, some of them are tapping into their own reserves, like China and maybe Japan and India. Some are looking into what we call swap deals, where they swap the contracts and get it from somewhere else, and it's okay. That's valid.
Business is business.
This is valid. Some of them are going back to older energy sources like coal. Those who have nuclear power plants, they are firing them up. So people are, countries are coping, but it is not a permanent solution. It is only a temp, because they will come back when things clear up, hopefully soon. Gulf oil will flow and things will be back to normal in terms of usage of oil.
Do you believe that after this crisis, the international community will be forced to set up some sort of international framework to protect navigation through the strait?
I think they should. I think they should, yes. I think there is a move. By the way, do you know that sorry, there are more than 70 laws that Iran has signed that prohibits and obligate those countries who are overlooking any strait to protect it and not block it, and they signed on it. And they breached their contracts, basically. So I think, what good is it going to do? We have already 71 treaties and bylaws and laws, whatever you want to call them. They've signed off on it.
Well, this is the growing concern today, that international law is no longer taken seriously by some major players in the world.
What I think would happen is that the UN will pass a resolution, in my opinion, I might be wrong, they might pass a resolution to actually militarize the zone.
Militarize the
Yes,
strait.
international military that basically set up camps there and basically make sure that it is open for business and nobody can block it.
Would this not sort of aggravate Iran into further retaliation? Because now they're seeing an increased military buildup. Although it is an international coalition, I believe in their eyes they see any encroachment or introduction of new military assets will be viewed as hostile by them.
Of course. I mean, it might even aggravate Oman also, because nobody wants to,
host other bases.
Foreign forces to be stationed there. But in my opinion, the UN will take charge. Do you know why? Well, we just heard that the inflation is expected to be at 4.4%.
Yes.
And it is not a Gulf issue now. It's a whole world issue. Oil must flow at any cost. So what are the solutions? Solution is to basically, the UN has to take control of this Hormuz. Iran is passing tariffs and taxes and fees on it. This is an international body of water. It's not a made-up canal.
It's not a canal, correct.
Like the Suez Canal or the Panama or the Passport Canal. No. This is an international body of water. Nobody controls it. You have the right to fishery, yes, but you cannot tell people not to go. By the way, we always keep talking about oil. There's even an even bigger issue here. There is an international trade that's going on through the Gulf. And the Gulf is a major consumer.
It's an important transit hub across the world.
Exactly,
from
and
east to
many
west.
countries has lost so much money. Many countries are suffering. And guess what? In 2-3 months, you will see lots of layoffs all over the world.
So now that's the next point. 2-3 months, is this the point of no return for a serious degree of economic
In my opinion,
damage?
yes. In my opinion, June 30th, if this problem is not solved by June 30th, oil prices will pass 150, and major shocks will be in the oil trades, and major shock in the agriculture, food, scarcity will happen.
Almost every branch of commercial activity will be hit.
Everything, even airlines. Now we have opened up all the airports all over the Gulf and all over the world, but try to book a ticket now.
The prices are much higher than they were before.
Fuel jet has gone skyrocketed. Well, what's going on? So it's not an oil issue anymore. It's every aspect of our lives: agriculture, food, water,
technology,
tourism, technology. Yes, technology. Helium is a major component to the
chip
industry.
manufacturing industry.
Yes, it's gone. 50% of it comes from the Gulf region.
The North Fields?
From Qatar, yes,
Yeah.
North Field. So you're faced with a huge issue here. And nobody talks about it too much. People think, I'm not talking about the technical people, the
laymen, the regular people.
Exactly. They say, well, it's an issue, they will open up, things will go back to normal. No.
Is this normalcy
It's
bias?
a time issue. How long will it be closed?
Now, did you believe this sense of things will be fine, we'll return to normal?
I try to be optimistic, right? I try to be optimistic.
Okay.
But the way I look at it now, even if this problem is solved next month, you will still suffer for the next year because of the
Guaranteed.
blockade.
Yeah.
And during this year that you will suffer, lots of people all over the world will be hurt in terms of their jobs. Many companies will lose lots of money. Countries, their budget will be irreversible.
Yeah.
By the way, Gulf countries, they need to revisit their budgets now because the damage is irreversible. I wish I could say otherwise, but the damage that has been done to us, it's irreversible in terms of budget. But you know what, alhamdulillah, Kuwait and the rest of the countries, they have sovereign wealth funds, which we can tap into. We still have a high credit rating. We can tap into that. So we are okay. We are okay financially. But why should we have to do this now? Is it because Iran does not want anybody to pass through the strait? That brings me to my answer to you. The UN will interfere now.
Is there no fear that the next hurdle in that will be either Russia or China vetoes whatever resolution is going to be passed to halt?
That's why I told you June 30th, right? Because by that time, I think China will submit. Because China will run out of its reserves.
True.
China has almost 800 million barrels of oil reserves. But China consumes almost 16 million.
Yeah.
So simple arithmetic tells you they can only last for 200 days.
I believe we're seeing some reports that say the sort of pipeline on the water in the world, the final vessels have now reached their destination. So now there is no more oil coming out. There's no more oil out on the seas.
We call them floating vessels. Yeah, we're done. Finished.
So the more we prolong this from this day forward, irreparable damage for
consumers,
6 months.
Producers, they are hit.
There's no,
Consumers now start counting the days, especially China.
So this is what you believe will be the pressure point to push China and Russia and other countries.
Yes, and they will not veto anything. When it comes to their pockets, they stop this nonsense.
Everyone has their own concerns.
Of course, yes. I agree.
Let's speak about the budget. You were speaking about how there are various mechanisms or different tools that the government, not just in Kuwait, but other Gulf countries can use to minimize the damage in our future budgets. Besides our sovereign wealth fund, what other tools are available to the government in Kuwait to manage this budget crisis?
The Kuwaiti government has signed a law that allows it to borrow 30 billion KD. That's a good thing. So the public debt law bill, they signed it last year, I think. Kuwait, I think, as a step number one, they will borrow. Because you can't really tap into the wealth fund. You know why? Because first of all, it hurts your income.
Long term.
Long term. Secondly, it sends a bad signal to investors.
Yes,
and we don't want that.
Preserve the confidence of the investors.
Exactly. We want to protect it. So I think we will tap into the debt solution, and we'll try to basically take on debt to finance our budget, to balance our budget. But again, how long? You have 30 billion. Do you need to do another bill increasing the budget, or to 60 billion next year if this problem persists more?
But this just sort of prolongs the problem that
it is. But what I'm saying is, try to do everything in your hand.
So this would involve
without tapping into the wealth fund.
But then you'd have to look at internal domestic cuts.
Now you've touched on something that is, let's say, sensitive. And something I've always said, and I feel sorry to say it, no country has 76% of its budget geared towards, salaries and subsidies.
It's an unbelievable strain on the budget.
It's an issue that needs to be discussed now. Not now, yesterday. It needs to be discussed, and we need to find a solution, because it doesn't make sense. 76%?
I don't know if there is another country that has a similar problem to Kuwait.
I checked.
We're the lone example?
We are the highest.
So what do you think would be the correct approach to deal with either cutting salaries or reducing numbers of employees?
I hate to say cutting salaries, because people has built their what we call legal centers, مراكز قانونية, you see. Because when you cut the salary, you basically disrupt their lives.
Yeah.
But I think, in my opinion, there are some subsidies. Yes, subsidies can be cut off. I agree.
And you wouldn't have to touch the salary or the quality of life of any citizens.
No, salaries should not be touched, in my opinion. But other avenues could be done, like subsidies. We may need to look into it more seriously now. Subsidies, non-essential projects need to be stopped. I don't know. I'm not involved with in terms of the project, but I'm just talking.
Anything that isn't a necessity, sort of a luxury or a leisure or a pleasure in the society, can be put off for later.
Right. However, two things should not be touched: healthcare, education.
If anything, maybe more focus on education.
Right. If anything, you need to focus. If anything, now we need to focus more on education, because now oil is not safe, so people are safe now. You need to invest in people.
So this should be a great push factor for the diversification of the economy.
Of course, yes. Well, that's what we talked about. We said this is a problem that created an opportunity now, that we need to be honest with ourselves and discuss it seriously. There are some major spendings in our budget, in my opinion, that needs to be basically looked at. But there are other spending areas that need to be reinforced, like education and healthcare. So we need to look into that. So Kuwait needs to do we should have a double team. One team focused on increasing revenue, other team is focused on cutting costs.
So a serious moment of self-reflection.
Of course, it is. And I'm surprised. Kuwait is the only country that doesn't have any think tanks.
That's true, actually.
Yeah, it is. Every country, even the US. The US, supposedly the most advanced country, they have independent think tanks.
Yes.
Not people who are work with the government. No, these people will not.
There are no strings attached.
Right.
This is genuine thought coming out of these people.
So we need to probably create some think tanks focusing on those two areas of Kuwaiti people, honest people, educated people, people with experience in their jobs, the good track record, you see.
Those with wisdom and foresight.
Right. So they need to sit and basically take their time and come up with solutions for both areas. Because in my opinion, increasing the revenue, you could increase your revenue without increasing your production. How? Well,
could you elaborate on this point?
Yeah, I mean, I could fix my production at 2.4 million barrels a day, but I increase my revenue. How? I can think of diversifying my export routes. Number one, I cut cost. And number two, I could sell more petrochemicals instead of selling crude. I look into my assets in Europe and Asia in terms of refineries and chemical multiplexes and invest more in them and possibly export some of our unsold oil there so it can be produced. And we're doing that on a smaller scale now. So you could actually maximize your profits without increasing production. All you need is a plan, a solid plan. So this think tank should take care of this issue. The other think tank, how do we cut costs without affecting the Kuwaitis' lifestyle?
Now, this may be a difficult question and a difficult topic, but what areas do you think are obvious fields where we can afford to cut costs here? This will not be detrimental to the society in Kuwait.
In my opinion, subsidies.
Subsidies, it seems to be the obvious choice right now.
It's a $3 billion per year. So that's something that needs to be reviewed.
Now, this point about...
Maybe not cut it, maybe reduce it.
Reducing the subsidies, not a total cut-off from the subsidy.
Reduce it and then maybe reduce it. Look into the cost of bringing these items. Maybe if you look at other, I don't know, countries or companies that sells you these products, maybe renegotiate your deals. True. You know, there are so many things we can do. We just need to work on it. That's all. We just need to identify the problem and work on the solution.
In a sense, the path out is available. You just need to find what this path is.
And you need to do it through a scientific, structured way.
It has to be a studied case.
It cannot be done within one say, meeting in the...
Oh, this is a couple months process, if not a year or two.
I participated in a think tank sponsored by the EU. That was in 2018 through 2022, before Corona. And our goal was, how do we basically improve maritime security? And there are many solutions, but this think tank follows the Chatham House rule, which we cannot say anything about. But
Yeah.
there are solutions. There are solutions to the maritime issues. There are solutions to our production. There are solutions to our diversifying our export routes. There are solutions to cutting the budget without affecting the lives of people, right?
Now, I wanted to spend a moment on that issue. Is there a fear that if you were to address the salaries, that this would severely impact economic activity in Kuwait? Because now people have less salary, there's less expendable income.
There is no study that shows that. I cannot answer this question.
Would you say that that is the biggest problem we have?
Yeah,
that
I need
there is
data.
no study.
I'm a scientific guy. I need data. Many people ask me this question, by the way. If the government cuts such and such, how will this affect our spending? And I say, I don't know. Give me the data. We need to see. Maybe we need to do a pilot test.
Perhaps.
Why not?
Perhaps.
We do a pilot test and check.
We won't know until we do it.
Yeah, CD, let's not do a pilot test so nobody can be affected. Let's do a simulation. Why can't we use these proven scientific tools in running our country? Why are we doing it the old school?
Would you say that this opportunity is sort of a chance to either leapfrog Kuwait into the future?
I am very optimistic.
But we have to grab hold of this opportunity.
I am very optimistic that this problem, this issue, may actually change our way of thinking, our way of basically dealing with issues. And I remember, and might be mistaken, you might correct me, there has been, last year or 2 years ago, they have established what they call the Crisis Management Committee.
Okay.
I'm not sure where exactly it falls within the governmental body, but I remember reading something about, well, please.
Manage the crisis.
Manage the crisis. Did you not expect this? We expected it.
I believe a lot of commentators and analysis were saying they would obviously close the strait.
We expected it.
Yes.
We as scientific
10
people,
years ago you were
we wrote
expecting this.
papers, we wrote scientific papers about it. We have the proof, we have papers that proves it. We expected such issues. So maybe, and I hear that they are reducing the number of agencies in Kuwait, like, which is a good thing, by the way.
If it's redundant, there's
right,
no need to
if it's redundant
keep it.
and there is no need for it, it makes us very slim.
I believe we do have a lot of different governmental bodies that are serving the same purpose, more or less.
But now, I demand, and I hope that they basically establish what we call an agency for crisis management. And that doesn't mean just oil.
It could be anything.
Pandemic issues,
a food shortage,
food shortages, oil shortages, whatever. We need that direction, and this needs to be done now. If something good that comes out of this, this should be the start. And this can manage all the think tanks that I'm talking about. This agency could basically establish its own think tanks and probably, hopefully find good solutions for our crisis now and futuristic crisis, futuristic problems that may arise.
I believe this point of think tanks is very interesting because it allows you to sort of become more flexible in a way. You have Kuwait Oil Company, various ministries in Kuwait have contingency plans. They have their own emergency measures. But you cannot think of everything. You need as many different minds and perspectives to sort of cover as much of the land as you can.
I agree.
So this think tank would offer the government, there are areas that you have not considered. Not out of a flaw or a mistake, it's just no one eye can see everything.
Right, and we're not saying anything bad about the ministries and their work and the government, but we're just saying we appreciate what you do in your own way, and we know you are busy with day-to-day business, fine, and you may overlook these issues, and I agree, I overlook many issues in my work at the university, unless somebody comes in and tells me this is the way in. You see, so think tanks are independent, open-minded entities that actually focus on one problem. So imagine you have 10 think tanks, you cover many problems and you produce reports and solutions and contingency plans and should a problem arise, of course. If it doesn't arise, thank you very much, we don't need it, it's there. So we should think in that direction.
And this would enrich the sort of the pool of thoughts, let's say, in Kuwait.
I'm saying that, yes. Yes, I agree with you.
And this would be an opportunity to host many other think tanks to bring what sort of solutions have the Emirates used, or Qatar, or Saudi, and how can we implement these solutions?
These countries that you mentioned, they have so many think tanks. I know that. They work, their whole day-to-day business is based on recommendations from think tanks.
Mm-hmm.
Think tanks propose solutions to problems that are current or future problems and send it to the responsible body, governmental body, and they act on it. That's the way it should be.
Now, Doctor, we'll just take a small pause in our interview and hopefully we'll get back to continue with a lot of these questions and topics we have yet to address. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll continue with our live coverage, but we'll take a short break real quick and we'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We'll continue with our interview with Dr. Talal. Unfortunately, sir, due to time constraints, we only have time for one more question. What do you think the oil markets and prices will look like in the short term and long term? What for you is a best case scenario and a worst case scenario?
Yes, I think oil prices, I have a deadline myself, which is June 30th. Mm-hmm. Until June 30th, we're not going anywhere. We're staying within 100 to 115 range. Beyond June 30th, if the problem is not solved, I'll give you two answers. If it's solved and if it's not solved. If it's solved first, I think we'll still be around the 100 for the next year because there are so many technical issues that need to be resolved.
There's too many setbacks. Exactly.
Things need to recover on a geologic scale underneath the ground and on an infrastructure scale. So we're still good at 100. This may compensate us for some lost revenues. But if the problem is not solved, I think you have opened up the doors of hell. Yeah, of course. You're looking at 150 and beyond. And I cannot expect or predict more than 150 because the oil mechanisms has changed since the 70s and 60s.
Yes.
You will not see triple or four folds all of a sudden. You will see it over time. But I think 150 is a starting point if the problem is not solved. And it may rise up to 200 over the next 24 months.
Well, unfortunately, there is only one way to find out. We'll just have to wait and see and hope for the best. Dr. Talal, I just want to thank you once again for taking the time and sharing your insight and knowledge with our audience here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm glad to be here.
The pleasure is all ours, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we will continue our live coverage with our KTV correspondent, but all of that after this short break.